Hi, I'm Ellen Frost. I'm a florist, educator, and flower community builder in real life and online. This is the Beginner's Guide to Foam-Free Mechanics, the Chicken Wire Edition. Chicken wire is our go-to mechanic here at my flower shop. It is the mechanic that we use most often, and today I'm going to show you the basics on how to use it. Let me start off by saying when I talk about mechanics, that word, what that means in the floral world, is a way to hold flowers in place. It's a tool that you use to hold flowers in place. So chicken wire is our favorite mechanic. When I say that it's foam free, it means that it's an alternative to floral foam, which is that green spongy stuff that you sometimes see at the bottom of a flower arrangement. That is really toxic, terrible stuff. It's a one-time use product, which means you can only use it one time and then you have to throw it in the trash. It also is made with formaldehyde, which is a carcinogen, which means if you use floral foam, florists often can get sick, they can have breathing issues, they can have skin issues. And so we don't use floral foam here in our shop, we use alternatives to floral foam. So chicken wire is our go-to mechanic for foam-free design. So the chicken wire that I use the most is a plastic coated chicken wire. However, we reuse these pieces of chicken wire over and over and over again, sometimes for years. So I feel like the small use of plastic really does make the product last longer. The alternative to a plastic coated chicken wire is a traditional metal chicken wire, which is this one here. And while this is not coated, it's harder to use. I think it's harder on your hands as you try to form it into a shape. It can cut your hands up a little bit more. You may want to use gloves if you're using an uncoated chicken wire. The other thing about the regular metal chicken wire is that it can rust in water. So it makes it harder to reuse it. It's sometimes only one or two uses before it really starts getting rusty, and then it can make your water dirty and affect the life of your flowers. So I prefer this plastic coated. It can be washed, so when we take it out of a bowl, we rinse it off, clean it with soap and water, and then we just store it and reuse it again. So this is the one that we use. This has a 1-inch opening. So you can see the holes here is a 1-inch opening. This here is a much bigger opening, maybe 2 inches or even almost 3 inches. This is much too big unless you are making a huge arrangement that has really fat woody branches. For most table arrangements and even for arch installations or hoopah installations, I think that the 1 inch is ideal. Because what you want to do is you want to be able to stick your stems through it without them being crowded. So in order to use the chicken wire, the first thing we have to do is cut it into pieces so that it fits inside of our vase. And what you want to use is a wire cutter. So this is just a Oasis floral wire cutter. You can use any wire cutter. Do not use your good clippers to cut chicken wire. It will work, but it will also dull your blades. It will also just make your clippers more prone to having nicks in them or cuts. So use a proper wire cutter for your chicken wire. And then you're just going to cut it into a piece that is going to be able to fit into your vase. Now, I don't have a rule on how to determine the size of the chicken wire for the size of the vase. Maybe after 15 years of using this product, I should, but a lot of it is just trial and error. So I will cut a piece that seems like it will fit into the vase that I'm using, and then I'll try it out. And then we can always trim it up if we need to. This chicken wire you buy by the roll, and one roll, if you're not doing a lot of design, can last a pretty long time. We buy it from either our local hardware store or from Tractor Supply. You can also order it on Amazon or maybe at a local hardware store near where you are. So once you've got a piece cut, what we're gonna do is turn our chicken wire into what we call a chicken wire burrito. So the idea is that you're going to use the chicken wire to hold your flowers in place. The burrito, what that does is allows you to have 2 points of entry for your flower, because if you only have 1 point of entry, your flower is still prone to move around a lot. So we really want to have 2 points of entry so that your stems stay really closely in place. So I've cut my piece, and in order to make my burrito, I'm just going to bring the edges together and twist them together with these edges that are cut so that it stays together. And so what you have then is something more like a tube. Make sure all these ends are put together. So what you have is a tube. And then we're just going to close the ends on itself, just like you would if you were making a burrito. And you can adjust the size or shape of your burrito if you need to. So now when you put a stem in, you'll have 2 points of entry, which will really make your stem stay in place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it first I'm going to show you in this vase. Chicken wire is great in any vases where the opening is very wide and it's difficult to put stems in without something helping them stay in place. So a flower vase like this, obviously you can't just put flowers in straight up and down because they will just flop to the side. So the chicken wire is the thing that allows us to put stems in and let them stay in place. So I'm going to take my burrito and I'm just smushing it into the vase. Now this doesn't have to be done, daintily or anything like that. You just want to get it in the vase. And this sort of vase, the opening is just narrow enough that the chicken wire stays in without any help. So I don't really need to secure it in any other way except by just fitting it into my vase. Now when I put my stems in, I start my arrangement. You can see that my stems are able to stay right where I want them without moving around. This is a very inexpensive mechanic to use on an everyday arrangement. So a roll of chicken wire costs maybe $10, lasts for weeks or months depending on how much design you do, and it can be reused. So it's a really cost-effective mechanic to use in an everyday vase, even in a vase that you are sending out for a daily delivery that you will not get back. The next application for chicken wire is in an even wider vase, often in a footed vase, which we call a compote. So I'm going to use chicken wire in this vase. This is about a 7-inch wide vase. I also am using a frog, so I'm using 2 mechanics in this arrangement. And the reason that I'm doing that is because each of these mechanics do different things. My frog allows me to put stems really straight up and down in a very wide vase. What my chicken wire is going to allow me to do is to put things in an angle so that I can get a really nice natural arrangement shape. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make my burrito. I'm going to fit my chicken wire into my vase. Now, because this vase is so wide, I do want to secure my chicken wire a little bit more because otherwise it has a tendency could move around. So there's a couple ways to secure it. The first way is to use something like a florist clay. This is the Panacea florist clay, and it's basically just a sticky clay or putty that I can put on the edge of my chicken wire, and then I can fasten that to the inside of the vase. So basically I'm just sticking it so that it sticks to the inside of the vase. Another way to secure your chicken wire in the vase is with some waterproof tape. And basically all I'm going to do is put a crisscross X over the top of it so that when I start to put my stems in, my chicken wire is not going to move around. So now that it's secure, you can see that with the 2 points of entry, I really can put my foliage in at an angle where it's not going to move around. So again, it does something different than the frog, which is gonna let me put my stem straight up and down. This chicken wire is really gonna let me start filling out my arrangement with foliage on the edges without it moving around. If you haven't tried chicken wire before, I would highly recommend it. Buy a roll, like I said, it's very inexpensive, and play around with it. If you are a designer who has used foam in the past or is comfortable with foam, chicken wire may feel a little bit uncomfortable as you get started, but play around with it, and I think that pretty quickly it will become a favorite foam-free mechanic for you too.